Hello and welcome to A Cup of Conversation here on BRT TV. My name is Can Ghazi and today I am hosting members of the Anglo-Turkish Association here in North Cyprus. And I'm very honoured to have an old friend back in the studio with me, Pearl Mitchell, who is a committee member of the association. And joining us is a new friend, Alan Hardy, who is just a member of this wonderful group. So first of all, Pearl and Alan, welcome to the programme.
Thank you.
Now, the reason why we've grabbed you today is because actually, Pearl, you've organised very nicely a small group of your members to come to BRT today, and I hope that you've enjoyed our mini tour of BRT. Thank you for bringing your wonderful friends to us. It's great to see you again, Pearl.
Thank you, and you, Jan.
Now, you are a committee member. How long have you been involved with the Anglo-Turkish Association, Pearl?
It's about... I initially joined the Anglo-Turkish Association as a member, and but because of work commitments, I didn't actually attend many events. And I think the very first big thing I went on was a trip to Georgia. And when I returned from that trip, I was asked if I would become a committee member. And there went my claim to fame or something.
Yeah, your claim to fame was after that trip to Georgia.
Yes.
So you became a committee member?
Yes, and then I became vice chairman. But during that time, I also started to organize the events for the association because the person who was doing it couldn't do it anymore. So I was then doing vice chairman and events organization, which was and is a very hard job because the two don't go together. It's two separate jobs.
Yeah.
Then moved up to becoming chairman, still taking events because nobody would take that from me. And my trajectory then sort of just carried on from there. In the association, we have a history of the two nationality, or the two speaking communities.
Yes.
So the Turkish-speaking community, the English-speaking community, taking turns at becoming chairman, vice chairman, then chairman.
Right.
So when my term of office ended, it fell to Turkish Cypriot to become the chairman.
Who is the chairman now at the moment?
Her name is Gülter Kuran. Gülter has been around for a long time associated with Anglo-Turkish Association. Yeah. She, together with Harry Fellows, has for years organized the trips to off-island, to Turkey. Initially, they were just to Turkey. And then a few years ago, they started doing one to Europe, you know, so they then became two big tours every year. Gülter found themselves stepping back into the brink because there was nobody else to take over from her.
Okay, well, big hello to the chairman of the association, Gülter Kuran, and a very interesting background there. I want to say hello once again to Alan. Welcome to the programme. Thank you for joining us today. Now, Alan, you are a member of the association. How long have you been with the ATA?
I've been a member for 2 years.
Oh, so you're relatively new to the group?
I'm relatively new, yes.
Right. So what was the introduction for you for the ATA? How did you get involved?
Well, I have friends who are members as well, and I've heard good reports as to the interesting events that are involved with perhaps going to Lefkoşa and to Ottoman houses and so on. So I've done some interesting visits since I've been a member. And that was one of the main motivators. Also meeting, you know, other members,
yes,
Turkish and English, so it's good.
So it's a nice way to socialise and also learn more about the island because
absolutely,
you do have lots of different interesting trips throughout the whole year. So you're happy to be a member of the ATA. Nice to be part of this group.
Yes, it's a monthly event, so it's not. It's just about right actually to plan in one's diary.
So it's one event a month, that's right, yeah? So I know sometimes I read in the press you have guest speakers, guest lunches. I think that's the next thing coming up, isn't it, soon?
Yes. I mean, we started off with sort of, everything has just expanded. And a lot of it has expanded, I think, by the request of people, but also there's just so much more to do.
Yeah.
So we moved on from having, so we have sort of about 2 events a month, one maybe a talk, and one a walk, as we call it, or a visit to somewhere. And then a few years ago at one of our annual general meetings, somebody suggested, because we'd done it once, that we have a monthly lunch, a social lunch, because at the events and that you meet, you do the events, and then you go away. So you never had the social bit to it.
Right, yeah.
So we decided to start what we call now the social gatherings once a month. And we fixed that to a specific date of the month, which is the 28th. So it doesn't matter which date falls on, because people have lots of commitments with other groups. So they're not always able to come on every month.
Yeah.
But if it falls on a Monday and they haven't got anything on that Monday, they can come, and so on. So it evens out in that way. That is actually quite unique in the way it's run, in that it's run by members. A member has to, we do the overarching of the whole process, because we hold the database and we don't share that out. But a member will choose a restaurant, and they will talk to the restaurant owner about what we want. I've set out a little simple guideline for that they ask, because if you're looking at serving 40 people in a group, it is quite different to serving 40 people individually.
Yes.
And we have had instances, for example, where 40 people in the group have gone to lunch and people are waiting to eat, because, you know, the meal comes out in fits and starts.
Yeah, right.
So that's one of the things we always make sure that the restaurant can, they have the kitchen staff to prepare the meals for 40 people, because that's about usually what we get. And they have the service staff to serve the tables. And once they've made that arrangements, we then take the names of, we send out the email, we take the names of the people who are interested and want to go, and it just goes on from there until the date. So that's only the third thing to our month. So our month tends to get a bit crowded sometimes.
Ah,
and on very rare occasions, somebody might say, oh, we'd like to come and talk to your group about something. And you think, where can I fit you in, you know? But we tend to manage, because what I do, like we had something last month, I sent out an email asking, would anybody be interested in this? Because I didn't want to make the decision about yes or no. And I got quite good feedback about it, and so we went ahead and did it and slotted it in between other things. But, yeah.
It sounds like a really interesting group to be a part of. I mean, I've had a great relationship with the ATA over the years. I remember years ago when I used to do filming outside, the ATA used to have an exhibition. Remember? I don't know if you remember.
Oh, yes.
Pearl,
I was telling Debbie about that
years
this
ago.
morning. Yeah.
And I remember I used to interview people. In fact, I met many people via the events that the ATA have organised over the year. I know Harry Fellows very well. You know, it's a great group to be a part of. One thing that I like about it, I know this is very specific, is that because you've got Turkish Cypriots and English-speaking people.
Yeah.
Is that the criteria that you have? You know, you either Turkish Cypriot or you have a... Or what is the criteria?
The criteria is that you speak one of
the two languages.
Two languages, because we have Norwegians and we have other nationalities in the group.
So it's not Anglo.
So it's not. Yes, it's a bit of a But that's how it was set up 33 years ago, because it was set up to foster cultural relations between the two communities, and at that time it was mostly English expats here. Yeah. So I think that was where the name got born, it's just carried on, really, because it's easy to, rather than to change it. But no, it doesn't matter what nationality you are, as long as you can speak one of the two languages.
Then you can be a member.
You can be a member, and you're 18 years old and of good conduct. Most of our members actually join us by other members recommending.
Yeah, like Alan was saying,
absolutely.
His friends.
Yes.
Alan, I want to ask you, how long have you been here living in the TRNC? When did you arrive?
2004.
2004. So you've been here quite a long time now then. You've been here, well, 15 years.
Yes.
But you only joined the ATA quite recently, 2 years ago. Because you had friends. Had you heard of the ATA before that?
I had heard before that, but it took a while before I actually met somebody that was an active member.
Yeah.
But
And then
they've got a good reputation of, oh, if you want some interesting visits, then join the ATA.
The reason why I was asking, I thought maybe if you were new here to the island and then you realised that you'd like to maybe socialise and meet with new people, then it's a good way to actually get into the community, isn't it? When
Well,
you
it certainly
join,
is, yes.
Yeah. Have you found it beneficial in that way to learn more about the island and also to meet different people from all walks of life?
Well, I have, because we've made visits to certain places that I didn't know existed. For instance, the Bronze Age factory at was it Dickman?
Yes.
And that was absolutely fascinating. I enjoy history, and to actually go there and see artifacts that were actually from the original tombs here and then recreated with the same materials and designs and for sale was really impressive. And I thought, why have I never heard of this before? It's never been advertised.
Yeah.
And there it is within sort of half an hour's drive. But yeah, so we do lots of interesting things, in fact. It's always totally different.
So even though you can be a member for years, there's always something new coming up.
Yes.
Because I can't remember the last time you guys came to BRT. It's been many, many years.
That's because we have so many other things happening, Jack.
Feed us in today.
Yeah.
And maybe it's good to have a break so that you could see the changes. I mean,
Absolutely,
last time
yeah.
you were here, we didn't have this HD studio.
No.
And so, you know, there are changes, always changes going on the island. But yes, so you are very busy, and it takes a long time to do the same thing twice, which
Funny
is very
enough,
good.
I have had new members who said to me, you must have done lots of things in the past that we haven't been on. Why don't you redo some of those? And that actually is a very good idea, because there are members who have left, and they've left because they've left the island or, you know, not with us anymore or whatever. So they are probably, you know, and while I've heard a lot of people say, oh, well, I don't come to this because when I came here, I did all that. And I say, well, you'd be surprised how things change. Because what was when it was has now become so different. So going back to revisit somewhere is never a bad thing.
Never a bad thing. No, it's good
no.
to make you know, regular visits to certain places. I mean, there's so many places you can go to, so many things to learn, and I know that you have very interesting guests to speak at your lunches as well. So to go to a lunch and to hear somebody speak is very interesting too. I know, you know, you've had some fantastic guests on before. How many members do you have roughly?
Just shy of 300.
Really?
Yes.
That's a good number.
Yeah.
Is that 50-50 with
No,
Turkish, or is it? I think
unfortunately
it's more expats,
not.
isn't
It's
it?
more expats.
Yes.
Yeah.
How many expats would you say? Probably 200?
I would say,
Or more than
yes, more than that probably.
All right. So
Yeah.
it's a more expat-based.
Yeah.
And in fact, today, with our lovely guests who are patiently sitting and waiting with this interview, I mean, there aren't any Turkish Cypriots in the group, are there, at the moment?
Not today, no.
So come on, guys.
Oh,
we need
yes,
more.
there is one.
Oh, we have one.
I tell a lie, yes. Where is it? I think he's in the... No, here he is.
Yes, there he is. Yes, yes. We have one Turkish Cypriot guest.
You see, I think of him as English because,
We were chatting off air with him. So I know that maybe it would be good to put a call out now for. Would you like new members?
We would love to have new Turkish Cypriot members. Our organisation is really crying out for Turkish Cypriot members.
Yeah.
A lot of people actually state that when they come to join, that one of the things they join for is to be able to meet some local Cypriots.
Yeah.
And if they're learning Turkish, to practice their Turkish. But they're not getting that opportunity anymore.
I think it's quite difficult because everyone's got such a busy schedule. If you're working, then it's quite difficult to make time for your group, which is very, very busy with 2 or 3 events a month.
Yeah.
But obviously, most of the expat groups members of your group are actually retired.
Yes.
So it's nice that, you have time, don't you?
It's easier.
Yeah.
It's easier to fit into the schedule that's going on, like
Yeah.
coming to BRT today during the day.
Yes.
If you're working, you can't come. You have to
This
be
is
free.
exactly what I was saying to Debbie when we were driving this morning. The fact that when the organization was first set up, the group, and it might have been that there were more women because women weren't working then. So the members, the Cypriot members were probably more women. That's my guess. I can't verify that. So there was more balance because then the expats that were here were then more English, but they were also retired. So there was more, they gelled in that way more. Now things have changed. Women are working, women are trying to bring up families, etc., etc. And we have had occasions in the past where Cypriots have taken on the role of chairman or vice chairman and have had to leave after 3 months because they said, we didn't realize it was so much work.
Yeah. It isn't easy.
Because to fit it in with a full-time job is not easy.
Yeah.
So it is a problem. It is a problem, but I don't know how we work around that one.
Well, hopefully, maybe, I know that a couple of your members are with Denise Phillips on the radio at the moment as we speak. So via the radio, maybe via this programme on television, maybe we can get some extra new members who are able to spend some time to
just come
support.
to the event, and it doesn't matter if you can't speak English. We're all trying to learn some Turkish, so we'd like to practice it.
Didn't you have Turkish lessons at one point?
We did, again, what I was saying to Debbie. We've done exhibitions, we had Turkish lessons, and over the years, things have fallen by the wayside simply because, and I would like to think that they copied us, other people started to do this, but they started, we did charge for the Turkish lessons, a very small fee.
Yeah.
But then lots of people, with the influx of expats to the country after 2004, started to do Turkish lessons. So the numbers in our group just became untenable, and we had to give that.
Yeah, that's a shame.
The same for exhibitions. We used to run exhibitions, free of charge exhibitions. Members would bring all their good. And as I said to Debbie again this morning, the amount of artistic talent that there is on this island that's hidden really is just fantastic. So members would bring we had one year we would do things like clay, art, and the next year we would do paintings.
Yes.
Do you remember? We rotated it. And the stuff that you saw was just because it had to be their own production, their own work. And it was just fantastic. But then everybody else started to set up their own exhibitions.
So again,
that fell by the wayside. And it was just, so we had to drop that. And it's about moving with the times, I guess. So
things do change, but
and
hopefully the ATA will still continue to go strong. You're doing very well at the moment.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'd like to ask you, I mean, would you recommend, if you were invited by a friend, you heard from a friend about the ATA and you came to one of their events and you joined, would you then recommend this to other friends who come over?
I certainly would, and I have as well.
Yeah, I'm sure you have.
So I hope that at least 2 have joined from my recommendation.
Would you ever consider a position in the committee, or are you happy just being a member?
It depends what the position was. I mean, it's possible, but I've been on committees in the past, and one gets to the point where you think, no, I'm doing no more committees. I've done my bit. But no, probably. I mean, it's possible.
It's possible. You don't rule it out straight away, but you are happy being a member of the ATA.
I'm very happy.
And you enjoy the activities.
I look forward to our monthly meetings because, as Pearl said, we meet for lunch, we have visits and walks, and it's always places of interest. And it is something totally different.
When you look from the outside, not going into the past or not looking at it from a committee point of view, but as a member, Do you prefer the lunches? Do you prefer? You said you like history. Do you prefer the visits to different locations? What would you see? What would you like to see more
I prefer
of?
the visits.
The visits,
because I can do lunches pretty well at any time with groups of people anyway. So it's the opportunity to go to different organisations and establishments and places of interest, and we've done that.
What I liked was, even though there was only 14 of you today coming to BRT to visit us, you came by coach. And I think sometimes it's nice to have that sort of, I mean, I was expecting maybe, you know, 2 or 3 cars all full up with you guys coming down. But going on a coach, maybe it's easier to get to places. You don't want to be running around thinking, where am I going to go if you don't know the location you're going to. And if you're going somewhere a bit further than Lefkosia from Kyrenia, then you know, having this coach trip is an incentive to go to that place, because you might not want to drive there yourself, especially if you go, like I said, to somewhere far. Is that an added bonus that you have these sort of things put on for you, these coach trips and, you know?
Well, I think it is, because not everybody wants to drive through Lefkosia, do they?
No, you don't want to.
Find a parking slot, more importantly.
Is there a location that you'd like to go to that you haven't been to yet? Anything in your mind? An area of the island that you would like to
Well,
see?
I haven't been up to the Karpaz for a long, long time. And, and there's certainly things up there that are unusual, and I have seen them with, you know, Turkish Cypriot people. And normally as an expat you wouldn't get there, but there's lovely little areas in the Karpaz that, oh, thanks for showing me this. So it would be worth consideration.
You see, that's another thing that
I mean, there's Roman ruins up there, there's all sorts of things.
Because every year we used to do a weekend in the Karpaz.
Yes.
And that became, you know, what do you do? Because it's also about, and I have to say we have a problem because our population isn't, dare I say it, aging population, and I include myself in this. So you have to take into consideration people's physical status.
Yes.
When you're looking at, there's some places we looked at, because we always recce the places if we're going on walks and stuff like that, to judge the feasibility of, you know, people's ability to access them, because otherwise you're going to just exclude so many people.
Which is unfair.
Which is unfair. So we used to go to the Karpaz, and we chose, I think we used to, I'd never been in those days, but we chose times when there were things on that we could join into. But then, I don't know, somewhere along the line that changed, and the interest fell off.
Yeah.
So again, we dropped it. But it's something that might be worth revisiting again. Yeah. Maybe not every year, but because the Karpaz is, I mean, I've been up there a few times and spent weekends. It's just a beautiful place.
It is a lovely location.
But it would be nice for a whole day trip, wouldn't it? On a coach.
Yes.
Early start.
Very early start, and being prepared to be back, not because I don't think Karpaz is a day trip myself, but you know, an overnight.
You can go on a day trip. I think. Don't forget that the monastery is being restored at the moment.
Yeah.
And then you've got the lorry donkey, so you take your carrots with you and feed the donkeys. It is lovely. I mean, maybe this time of the year, when it's not too hot, not too cold. I mean, today it was lovely. You know, we're in November at the moment, and it is fantastic. But obviously, you discuss with your members, you find out what's popular, what's not popular, what to do.
Yeah.
Is there a website, or is there a way that we can find out what's going on? I know that you advertise in Cyprus A newspaper events, but is there another way that you get your members to find out? I mean, do you have an email system where you mail everybody?
Yeah, well, we email them with the events that are taking place. Members actually send in fact, for next year's events calendar, we had lots of suggestions from people, and most of them I think we managed to slot in. Some of them are on the back burner, because when we do the events calendar, it's very much a, that's what I'm looking for.
It's difficult to
it's not a confirmed calendar, because it's what we'd like to do, when we'd like to do it, and who we'd like to do it do it for us or
who's
with
available
us.
to join in.
Exactly. So that is subject to change slightly, because we would sort of, if I were to say to you, for example, Jan, we'd like to come on, as I said, we'd like to come on this date at this time. Is that feasible for you? It might not be, so you change it a little bit to suit,
Yes.
and so that has to go. But as I said, a lot of people have sent us suggestions for next year's calendar, which again we've added into it.
So do you have the calendar for next year? Do you know some of the things that you're going to be doing?
Yes, we've done the
already?
event calendar for next year, and that's been sent out. Going back to your question, which I slipped off from, typical Pearl, we have a Facebook page, but it is a closed group. It is only for members only.
Right.
And we have email, as I said. The website, I do confess, we are trying to get that back on stream. It's been dormant now for quite a while. My daughter took it over when she was here for a while, and she did it, and she continued to do it when she went back to the UK, but then she was studying and couldn't continue, and we just haven't been able to find anybody to do it. But I think, fingers crossed, we found somebody.
Oh, good.
I don't know if he's in this room or he might be on the radio end, so he'll probably be here. No, I think he's standing there. Anyway, we found somebody. So that will be coming out again soon as another option. The newspaper, as you say, is also, and you very kindly announce everything for us.
Well, when we get
you know, when you
information,
get the information, so that's
we share it.
and that's great.
And I think your email address, if I can remember rightly now, it's atamail13 at gmail.com.
Exactly.
Right.
You remember
so
correctly.
That's atamail13 at gmail.com if you would like to send a message to the ATA group. Is there a way that we can, I mean, if somebody watching now would like to meet up with you guys or would like to become a member, how do we have to just grab you in the street and say
No. Well, you could do, yes. There is
That
no,
would be recognised, pal,
yes,
but-
yeah. There's no reason you couldn't do that. But the best way, if you want to become a member, send an email to that email address, and we will then organise. The other way is, and this is probably, well, it's yes. Once a month, there is a committee member who meets, who is at SH Premier restaurant in Cariña, and she's there on the first Wednesday in the month between 10 a.m. and noon, and very much would love to see anybody who wants to join, anybody who wants to pay their dues, anybody who wants to just have a coffee and a chat, etc. So,
Fantastic.
and that's Nikki Montgomery, our membership secretary and treasurer.
Okay.
So she would be happy to see anybody there. But also, people come to events as guests and very often join at events and become
Brilliant.
members.
Brilliant.
So that's
So-
always a very nice.
So these events are open to guests as well as
Oh
members.
yes, yes, yes.
Fantastic
Yes,
news.
family. If people have family visiting, bring your family along. Let them see the other side. Not just take them out to restaurants to eat. Bring them and let them see what else you do when they're not here.
Yeah.
And yeah, we have had lots of families come and visit us when they come over. So.
Well, you guys have shown that it's a wonderful group to be a part of, the ATA. I want to say thank you for coming today to join us on the radio and TV and to tour BRT. Thank you for including us in your busy schedule. I wish you all the best. Thank you, Alan, for joining us today on the programme and giving your point of view. It's very interesting to hear what you have to say, and I wish you all the best. It seems like you'll be sticking with the ATA for a while yet.
Yes, I will.
And hopefully you'll have a great few more years in front of you with lots of different interesting
I
trips
hope
coming
so.
up.
Yes.
Yeah, and who knows, you might even be a committee member soon.
Oh, thank you, Jan.
I may be.
We've got that now on
Yes, on record.
So you can't,
No escape.
you can't escape.
Thank you.
Don't blame me for that, Alan. But thank you for joining us on today's programme. It was a pleasure to have you. And Pearl, always a pleasure to have you here.
Thank
Your
you,
positive
thank
energy
you, thank you.
shines around. But thank you to all our guests who have been watching patiently as well. This interview. Have a great time.
We'll
in
try not to
Hertfordshire.
make it so long before we come again.
Yeah, make sure that you don't keep the gap too wide this time. But thank you for including us in your ATA events, and I wish you all the best for the future as well.
Thank you. And you, John? Thank
Thanks
you
a lot.
very much.
Thanks a lot,
Yes,
guys.
thank you very much.
And with that, we've come to the end of a couple conversation with Pearl Mitchell and Alan Hardy. Thank you for watching, and until next week, have a great week. Bye-bye.